Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. Happy mid-June, which is crazy. Welcome to Astro Hour. I am Soleil. I am cover mother of Vision of Dawn Tour. I am founder and facilitator of the Charm School Mentorship Program. I am your weekly reader, and I'm a dope bitch straight up out of Oakland. You know what? Keep listening to the music. I'm gonna go fix something, and I will be right back. We will start in just a moment. In the meantime, enjoy the. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, y'all. I'll tell y'all what I was doing. I had lipstick on my teeth, and there was no way I was gonna be able to deal with myself looking in the camera and seeing that, and I wasn't gonna fix it while y'all looked at me. So thank you for being patient while I got myself together. It feels good to be back. I missed you guys. I hope you guys missed me. Um, I was gone for a while, but now I'm back. And even when I got back, I'm dealing with a little bit of burnout, a little fatigue, both just physical fatigue, compassion fatigue, all of its forms. So even though the goal was for me to have gone live last weekend on Sunday, I needed a little bit of extra time. So, but I'm grateful that you guys are here tonight, even though I've had a little bit of a break. And I needed that experience too, because you guys know I can be anal about making sure that I get these lives done, but knowing that it's okay for me to take a break and that you guys will still be here is reassuring. If you are new here, if this is your first time joining me, hello and welcome. I've already introduced myself. I'm Soleil. And this is Astro Hour. So I go live typically every Thursday. And on those Thursdays, I switch back and forth between either doing Astro Hour or Happy Hour. And Happy Hour is where we get together and talk about politics, gossip, anything going on in the zeitgeist. But tonight we are going to do Astro Hour. And we're doing Astro Hour because there's a lot of Cancerian energy going on. Even though it's not technically Cancer season yet, she is preparing us for everything in store for us. So we have the Jupiter transit in Cancer, which has already started, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And then we have the new moon in Gemini that is coming this, I believe, Sunday or Monday, depending on where you are in the globe. Okay? So I thought it was really important that we come together, have a little bit of conversation. As always, after I go through a discussion of what we should keep in mind during these transits, I will offer readings to the audience for anybody who is open to receiving one. But we'll talk about that when it gets time for it. Hey, Nicole, it's good to see you. Good to see you. So if this is your first time here, when you come into the room, say hi, just so that I know who's here. I like for these to be interactive. I do talk to you all individually as I go through the information. Also, hit those scale emojis. The scale emojis mean a lot to me. They're really secretized with my energy in a really particular way. And they let me know that you're here with me and that you're vibing with everything that I'm saying. So hit the scale emojis, introduce yourself when you come into the room, and we will go ahead and get started. So, because Jupiter has already transitioned into Cancer, I'm going to start with that. And because it's actually a long placement, I think it's really important that we talk about it. This energy of Jupiter being in Cancer is going to be with us for quite some time. Okay? Now, as I was researching and writing my notes for this, I saw some sites and some resources saying that Jupiter went into Cancer on June 2nd. And then I saw some other resources say that it went into Cancer on June 9th. Just know that sometime between June 2nd and June 9th, Jupiter entered into Cancer, okay? What we do know is that it'll be there until October 31st. So that means it won't be until Halloween, Day of the Dead, Thanksgiving, that Jupiter leaves Cancer. And when it leaves Cancer, it's going to go into Leo. We won't talk about what Jupiter in Leo brings to us yet, because we have 6 months of time to spend with Cancer. Well, 5 months of time that we're spending with Cancer, right? So what we do need to know and what we should consider when Jupiter is going into Cancer, that we are dealing with issues of Jupiter is the planet of growth. It's the planet of expansion. And that's why some astrologers, spiritualists, and root workers who depend on the moon and the stars will say that it is the planet of luck and abundance, right? And because we have the planet of expansion, luck, and abundance entering or combining its energy with a zodiac sign that is very much about the home, about nurturing energies, about domesticity, memory, right? Nostalgia. This is going to be a really emotionally busy time, even though it's a blessed time. And I think it's important for us to talk about this because we don't talk enough about what it means to grieve when the blessings come. I'm going to go there. Some of us may accidentally self-sabotage opportunities because there are things attached to our struggle, things attached to our past that we have to grieve and let go of in order to have the space for and the opportunity for blessings. And it can feel crazy making to grieve things that you know are logically not good for you or may have hurt you, right? So there's a lot of complicated and conflicting energies and feelings that come up when we have Jupiter in Cancer, right? So one of the questions that we should be thinking about and asking ourselves while Jupiter is in Cancer from now until October 31st is, where in my life am I craving more safety, right? Again, remembering that Cancer is domesticity, it's the mother, it's the home, right? And mothers make us feel safe. Where am I craving more safety? Where am I craving more support? Again, maternal energy. And where am I craving a sense of belonging? So Jupiter in Cancer asks us to ask ourselves, where am I in my life am I craving more safety, support, and more belonging? Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you've been watching these for a while, or if you study astrology on your own, you know that when a planet is exalted in a sign, that is a beautiful thing. It means that the energies are in harmony with one another. It means that they feel comfort in that position. So Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, meaning that not only does it feel comfortable and at home, it is at its best, right? So even though there are complications with this transit, the overwhelming experiences of it are going to be positive because it's exalted. It's given everything it needs to be at its best, right? When Jupiter is in Cancer, it is considered one of its most supportive placements. And the growth that comes from Jupiter in Cancer allows emotional intelligence to expand, right? So this is not a time of being physically busy, keeping your hands full. This is about emotional reflection, right? A lot of the growth you experience isn't going to come as a result of constant action and a hyperfixation on productivity. It's going to come from reflecting over who you are, your environment, what does and does not work for you any longer. Okay? So the kind of blessings that we receive while Jupiter is in Cancer are not so much about getting more. And I know that can sound silly because I just did say that Jupiter is the planet of expansion, right? When we hear expansion, we think more, 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 give me more, right? But that's not what the blessing of Jupiter in Cancer brings us. It brings us a feeling and a stability that allows us to feel safe enough to receive more, right? Think about a tarot card like the Empress. When she's in her debilitation, she is focused on what she outputs, and it makes it hard for her to receive, right? So when Jupiter is in Cancer, it sets us up to even have the capacity to receive gifts and blessings. Because some of us, it doesn't matter what opportunities come to us. The reason why we can't hold them, why we may self-sabotage, why we may shrink ourselves and run, is because we don't feel like we have the capacity to accept and to receive. So Jupiter in Cancer prepares us to be able to even receive blessings. So it's not about getting more. It's about being a proper vessel so that you can even hold more, right? Some good things to think about during this time. What happens when abundance arrives before healing, right? I just mentioned it. A lot of times when we receive blessings before we are healed, before we are ready, we can self-sabotage. We can run from them. We can convince ourselves that we are not worthy, right? We can make ourselves smaller so that the people who once saw our potential lose faith, right? Those are all things we can do when abundance arrives too quickly. And for those of us who may have those struggles, those things really get illuminated while Jupiter is in Cancer, not to make you dwell on them, but to make you understand them so that you can figure out how to release them so that you are able to receive, okay? Another thing that we should be reflecting on is what happens when healing creates room for abundance. Who do I get to be once I'm healed, right? What kind of person am I? How do I treat my blessings? How do I treat my belongings, right? You guys know that I have a Cancer mother. May she rest in perfect peace. And I remember growing up that being one of the biggest lessons of hers and something that she got on me about a lot. I'm willing to give you any and everything, but you need to treat what you have well, right? How you treat the gifts, how you treat the blessings you are, says a lot about who you are as a person. And those are two of the kinds of reflections we're going to be having while Jupiter is in Cancer, right? Again, remember that Cancer also rules family lineage, heritage, ancestry. It rules generational curses as well as generational gifts, right? So you may have downloads, receive new information about these areas of life or your spiritual journey while Jupiter is in Cancer, right? Your ancestral work may take on a deeper resonance and meaning, right? You may feel yourself being able to hear, see, receive messages from your ancestors more vividly. Again, Cancer is not only the mother, it's connected to water. Water holds memory, right? So don't be surprised if your natural intuitive nature and psychic nature strengthens while Jupiter is in Cancer, okay? And this is a really good time in terms of reflection because it makes things very clear. We talk a lot about generational curses, but when it comes time for us to be instrumental in breaking certain patterns, we can act like we don't understand, right? Jupiter in Cancer doesn't let you run away from that. Just because something has been present in a bloodline, just because something has been inherited, doesn't mean that it needs to continue, right? So the things that you see in your bloodline that you don't want to be a part of the continuance of, that gets highlighted. But also the gifts that you don't want lost in your bloodline, right? I don't know if MJ is here tonight, but I know that she and I have been talking a lot over the last month or so about, sewing and getting sewing machines and really not letting that skill set leave our families, right? That is a real thing. So, awareness of the gifts, the traditions, the blessings that you don't want to leave your family, and what your responsibility is in preserving them also really gets highlighted while Jupiter is in Cancer. Your home, feeling healed and safe in your home, and having spaces of belonging is going to be at the forefront while Jupiter is in Cancer, right? So even for those of you all who may be digital nomads, who travel around a lot, who may not necessarily, I don't want to say have a space that you call home, but home is many spaces for you. Those spaces are really going to be at the forefront, right? A lot around your understanding of the meaning of home expands. Again, Jupiter expands beyond physical location and expands beyond the definition of where you lay your head while Jupiter is in Cancer, right? Home, more as a place of belonging, ends up being more of the definition that you focus on. So home can be a relationship. It can be a spiritual practice or a community. It can be your own physical body, right? How are you taking care of your home, your temple? How are you nurturing your body? All of those can be things that represent are also connected to home. And so paying attention to those areas while Jupiter in Cancer is very important, right? Because again, Cancer is the mother, and the need to feel supported is going to be really significant and important at this time. So taking care of your home so that it feels safe, it feels cozy, it's a place where you want to create memories, having people over, making it a point to have traditions that you share in your home with other people. Those are all things that come up while Jupiter is in Cancer. But some of the shadow sides of this are, if you are a person that has been clinging to the past in ways that are unhealthy, Jupiter in Cancer may be difficult for you a little bit, right? So just be aware of that. Cancer likes to eat. Of the three water signs, it's low-key the greediest, right? But it's also the mother's, and it represents domesticity. So cooking and entertaining, food as a form of love. A shadow aspect of that is that sometimes when Jupiter is in Cancer, people overeat. They will engage in emotional eating. So be aware of that as well, okay? Just be mindful. Another thing is that Cancer doesn't like to be uncomfortable. And a lot of times, even when it's in its most strong energy, it's to protect its softness, right? Think about what a crab is, a soft inside with a hard shell. So if you are somebody who has been staying in comfortable positions or making yourself small because you equate that with safety and not allowing yourself to grow, that gets revealed during this time, right? I think people also forget that, yeah, a Cancer it has that hard shell, but it molts, it sheds, right? When we think of shedding, we only think of furry animals for some reason, but Cancer shed, right? And some of us may be in really tight positions, in tight environments, in relationships that are locking us down in ways that no longer serve us. So also don't be surprised if while Jupiter is in Cancer, it becomes revealed to you that in order to expand, in order to receive blessings, you have to shed some things and let them go, right? Because healing's not always about feeling better. Healing is often about feeling from a place of honesty, right? So that's another thing to be aware of. Where are you not being honest with yourself because the truth makes you uncomfortable? It takes time to harden, making it vulnerable. Yeah, absolutely. Which is why they focus so much on safety. Yeah. Take care of what you have reminds me. This is why we cannot have nice things. Yeah. Let's see. Where did I leave off? I'm out of practice, you guys. Be patient with me. So let's see. So, what are some things we can be doing to take care of ourselves while Jupiter is in Cancer? Um, One of the main things that we can be doing again is honoring our ancestral veneration. So if the busyness of Gemini season caused you to fall out of practice, if you found yourself in that very Gemini position of talking about what you're going to do but never doing it, remember Gemini, jack of all trades, master of none. This is a really good time to reprioritize your ancestral veneration. And rather than treating it like burden, right? Treat it like a form of care. You're more likely to do it if you see it as a form of spiritual care. And that's what Cancer reminds us of when it comes to ancestral veneration, right? It's also an amazing time for dream work. I did mention that Cancer is water. All of the water signs are dreamers and naturally psychic. So prioritizing anything related to dream work, any kind of spiritual work that is related to family reconciliation or reconciling relationships between you and people that feel like family, people that represent the home. Those are all really good things in terms of your spiritual journey to prioritize when we have Jupiter in Cancer. And for those of you, here's the thing. Y'all hear me talk about family a lot because the family that I have, I love down, but the vast majority of my family doesn't love or fuck with me. and I know that for some people, there is the lived reality of having toxic or abusive dynamics where you can't go to family. You're the family you were born into. Part of adulthood is creating the families that we want for ourselves. Once you become an adult, you deprioritize the family of blood and focus on the family of covenant, right? One of the things that my little sister, who's an Aries, always said is that I have to prioritize the family that comes from me because she's a mother and a wife. I have to prioritize the family that comes from me over the family that I came from, right? So that's another thing, Jupiter, expansion. If you know that you long and crave for family, but you don't have blood family or your blood family is life-threatening or abusive or dangerous, then this is a time where you really need to think about, okay, what does it look like for me to create my family? Through community, through fictive kin, through, people that I trust enough to call brother or sister. Okay? Those are all things that we should be focusing on in terms of our spiritual journey when Jupiter is in Cancer. Okay? Because this is a time to think about what you're building. And if what you are building is going to bless not only you in your lifetime, but the people that you have impact over once you're gone, right? Again, mothers think that way. How do I set my babies up to be okay if, God forbid, anything ever happens to me, right? So again, between now and October 31st, while Jupiter is in Cancer, it is teaching us that true abundance is not simply about having more, right? There are a lot of people we have literal billionaires in this world who are spiritually, morally, and socially bankrupt. Their children hate them. No one loves them, right? They've created a lot of deficit in terms of spiritual and social connection in their life. So don't think about accumulating and grasping more. Think about who am I and how do I hold what I have and how does that set me up for the abundance that's coming in my life so that I can hold those gifts and those blessings with responsibility, right? And so that I can be blessed enough to pass those down to my children, to the next generation, to my chosen family, right? Do you have enough support? Do you have enough healing? Do you have a deep enough sense of belonging to be a person that knows how to treat blessings, how to honor blessings, right? How to hold memories and traditions the way that a mother does. Those are all things that Jupiter in Cancer is here to tell us. So during this transit, during this season, asking yourself, what am I being called to nourish? Either within the people that I love or just within myself, right? Those are all things related to Jupiter in Cancer. Now, before I go into the Gemini new moon, I'm going to have to demand that y'all say hi to me. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to demand, hold on, I'm going to turn my camera. joined us, okay? I'm going to keep my eye on this chat while I'm talking about the new moon in Gemini, all right? So make sure that you say hello while you're here. Now let's talk about this new moon in Gemini. All right. Depending where you live, on either the 14th or the 15th, which is Sunday or Monday, we have a new moon in the sign of Gemini, okay? And you guys know that new moons, how they differ from full moons, is that new moons are about what we call in the new beginnings we want to have, right? So this is a time where we think about the new beginnings that we would like to have that are related to Gemini, okay? Hold on. We know that new moons are beginnings of a new lunar cycle. We know that it's a time for us to plant specific intentions, specifically about what we want to see in the next 28-day cycle, right? And that it's a time for new beginnings and a fresh perspective. This represents potential, right? Not visible results. So this is about, again, I'm grateful that we talked about how you treat things with Jupiter and Cancer, because the new moon in Gemini, with this being a new moon, this is also about, okay, who do we have to be in terms of potential to call in the results we want, right? So this is not where we harvest. This is where we plant. It's in the full moon that we harvest, right? So we talked a lot about Gemini because we're in Gemini season right now. We still have about 10 days left of Gemini season, right? So let's just refresh our memory about all the wonderful things that Gemini rules. Okay, hold on. That's better. I like it when y'all are close to me. Okay. Gemini, again, is connected to Mercury, so it rules communication, right? Gemini is a sign of a thinker, somebody who's very deeply curious. And that curiosity turns into, it manifests as them constantly seeking knowledge. It's how they connect to people, is through seeking of knowledge, through debating, right? Sometimes Geminis it's almost like that's how they prove. You can tell if a Gemini likes you because they'll debate with you. That's what I'm trying to say. Very similar to Aries, but different. Gemini represents language, teaching, social connections, the voice, right? Talking and connecting to others through communication. With Gemini being the sign of the twins, it also represents sibling relationships. So your brothers, your sisters, or people that you treat like a brother or a sister or a sibling, right? And it can also represent short distance travel, right? Whereas its polarity, Sagittarius, represents long distance travel, right? Easy way to think about it, Gemini, road trip, Sagittarius, you're on a plane, okay? So the gifts of Gemini are here to get us to understand that there is more than one way to see a situation, right? Geminis get accused of being two-faced often, and those are debilitated Geminis. Those are Geminis that have a lot of split personalities and internal conflict going on. For the most part, Geminis are capable of seeing things from multiple perspectives. Again, they're the twins. So think about two souls inhabiting one body. They're seeing a lot of different things, right? So when we deal with healthy Gemini energy, aligned Gemini energy, we're dealing with a person who asks a lot of questions. Again, that deep curiosity. We're dealing with somebody who's open-minded, somebody who is a constant student, a lifelong student. They're learning continuously. It's almost like their whole energy is, if I'm breathing, I'm learning, right? Or if I'm not learning, I'm not living, right? Somebody who's also very adaptable. They adapt to new information very easily when they appear. They honor and respect knowledge so much that they don't feel like they have to, they're not dogmatic. That's the easiest way I can explain it. But the shadow side of Gemini is that they are gossipy. You guys have heard me say that before. Geminis like to gossip. That's how they bond. They talk a lot. They also talking to them sometimes can feel like information overload, right? Um, she's here tonight, one of my god babies. She's very, very quiet, but Aja, I love you, but you know you do this. She's the most quiet person on the planet. And then when I do talk to her, she has like 18,000 life updates for me. It's like, damn, girl, you've been busy. A lot's been going on, right? So sometimes talking to them can feel a little bit like information overload. Again, they're busy. They're curious. There's a lot going on in their lives. And so it can feel overwhelming sometimes when they're explaining things to you. It can feel like a lot of information overload. We love being around people who feel like, yeah, we can learn from. Absolutely. That is a hallmark of a Gemini. They do make great counselors. Yes. They absolutely, my favorite EOP counselor when I was in college was a Gemini. So that's a good observation. I love that. You know you do that, Aja. Another thing in terms of shadow aspects, scattered focus, right? Geminis need to have someone who grounds them around, either an air or an earth sign, because again, think about that phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. If you're constantly learning something and picking things up and putting them down, you need people around you to help you focus. And when they are not focused, that shows up in a really scattered energy that is not only overwhelming for the people that experience it, it can just lead to a lot of unfinished tasks, right? But they're dealing with constant distraction. They have like a butterfly quality when it comes to their attention, right? So those are some of the debilitations. So again, we talked about the positive things to think about and ask ourselves when we have a new moon rather in Gemini. But another question we should think about related to the shadow is, where in my life am I consuming information and not applying it, right? If any of you guys have ever been in any of my classes, or if you've been with me in my mentorship, even temporarily, you guys have heard me use the phrase information hoarding. I tell people all the time, what you're learning is not for you to hoard information. It's for you to operationalize it. It's for you to put it into action. So with a new moon in Gemini, we are called to think about, okay, what do I know? And am I actually using my knowledge? Is my knowledge propelling me forward? Or am I just hoarding a bunch of information to have things to talk about, like at parties and shit, and impress people, which is something that a surface level Gemini will do. They will accumulate a lot of information, talk about it to other people just to be impressive, and then not do anything with it. Happy birthday, KFS. It's also Aisha's birthday. I didn't realize you guys shared a birthday. Happy birthday to you. I hope it's been a beautiful day. I hope it's been a blessed day. Did you guys see the way I just lit up? I love birthdays. I don't know if I'm a sick person or what, but I love birthdays. I love birthdays so much that I love other people's birthdays. When I was, this is embarrassing, but I'm going to share it. And then I'm going to get back on track. Gemini distraction. Be patient with me. When I was in high school, I was very boy band obsessed. And when it was the birthdays of my favorite boy bands, the members of my favorite boy band's birthdays, I would bake cupcakes. I would just bake cupcakes. Never met these men a day in my life, but I would celebrate their birthdays. Okay. I need to stop oversharing on here because I be telling y'all stuff that's like really embarrassing about who I was as my younger self. But back to the issue at hand, right? One of the main things we need to be thinking about when there's a new moon in Gemini is, especially because we're planting intentions, we're planting seeds, right? We are setting things up with the hope that we will see those blessings in the next 28 days or so. So really asking yourself, what do I know and how can I use that and put it into action so that it gets me closer? Am I using my knowledge for movement, or am I just using it to be impressive, right? I knew someone in my life who speaks 4 languages, and they're very fluent in those languages. It's really impressive, and they bring it up a lot to. I'm not close to them anymore. They would bring it up a lot as like a trump card to try and shut people down often, but they do nothing with their knowledge of those language except for brag at parties, right? They're in their 40s and they've perpetually just been in a string of go nowhere admin jobs since we were 22, right? That is not a person that's using their knowledge or their information and putting it into action. Putting it into action would be operationalized. I'm not going to go into, but that's an example just to help you guys. Anyway, some of the spiritual lessons that the new moon in Gemini is here to teach us is also about the role of narrative in our life. Again, remembering Gemini is connected to Mercury. Mercury is communication, right? So what are the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves and other people? What are the labels that we've come to accept over time, and do they fit us or not? What are the ways our words are setting up and creating our reality? Quick example, again, you guys have heard me use it a million times, especially if you've been in any of my prosperity classes. If you want to make money, but you're going around calling yourself broke just because you don't have what you want in this moment, you're cursing yourself. You're calling in negativity. You're calling in deficit, right? So we need to think about what we say about ourselves, how we talk to and about ourselves, how we talk to and about our lived experience, right? What are the words we are using, and how does that create a reality for us, right? It's really, really important, okay? Because this creates the story that defines us, and some of us have stories about ourselves that we need to retire. Real talk. They're old, they're outdated. No one who is in your life in this moment understands or sees you that way. And you're connected to an old, outdated understanding of yourself. So retire that story so you can be who you are in this moment. Have that death card moment and let it go to rest, right? So some examples. I already used one. I'm broke. Why are you calling yourself broke? If you have a roof over your head, if you've been able to pay rent, if you have food in your fridge and clothes on your back, you're not broke. But you will be broke. You will call that in for yourself by calling yourself that, right? I hate this one, especially as somebody who's in her 40s. It's too late for me. I hate it's too late for me. Some of my favorite writers didn't write their first book until they were in their mid-40s. Some of my favorite activists, people who inspire me to this day, didn't get their start in activism until they were in their 50s. It's never too late. If you got the breath of life in you, it's not too late, right? One last example. Nobody understands me. I hate that one because if nobody understood you, you wouldn't have friends. Most of the time you're saying that to somebody who's looking at you and who's trying to support you. And if somebody's trying to support you, they understand something about you, right? So don't claim things like that. What are you claiming about your life through language is what the new moon in Gemini is here to get you thinking about. So some ways that you can shift those things is by writing petitions, writing prayers that call on your spirits, your ancestors, to help you release those false thoughts and to really train you out of using your tongue to create deficit in your life. My students laugh at me because I tell them all the time, I pray all the time for my ancestors to protect me from my own stupidity. So if you know you have a deficit, if you know you have a blind spot, especially when it comes to your language, this is a time for you to petition your spirits to help you so that you can break those habits, right? This is an amazing time to speak affirmations. It's also a great time to name and declare the intentions you have over your life, okay? Being focused on what you speak to into existence when we have a new moon in Gemini, when we're calling on our potential, is super important, right? So pay attention to synchronicities. Pay attention to the conversations that are repeating in your environment and ask yourself whether or not they're helping or hindering you, okay? Pay attention to any unexpected messages, right? Because those are things that are really, really important. Also, Gemini, it represents language and talking, yes, but it also represents song, right? And the music is a form of consumption. So also pay close attention to the music you listen to during this time, right? Um, yeah, that it's just really important to pay attention to that. Can't think of an example. So pay attention to the messages that keep trying to find you and messages that are trying to make their way back to you, okay? This is a time to focus on strengthening your communication, building community, any kind of writing projects that have been neglected. This is a great time to pick those back up. Journaling, anything related to writing petitions. Also reading and studying, right? Some of you all keep grimoires, but you haven't gone back and reviewed and edited them in God knows how long. With this new moon in Gemini, it's a perfect time to sit and read over what you've collected and figure out what works for you and what no longer works for you, okay? So that is everything related to the new moon in Gemini. We are now at the end of both of those discussions. As always, I have readings to offer you guys. Suggested love offering for a reading is 1111. If you have less than that, but you still want a reading, share what you can. Just, the love offering is about energetic exchange more than anything. If you have more than that to give and you feel like being generous, God bless you. It's always appreciated. But if anybody would like a reading, either on the new moon in Gemini or on the Jupiter in Cancer transit, go ahead and send your love offering now, and put a comment in the comment section so I can get to you. Hold on one second. I'm going to go off camera one more time. All right. While you guys are making a decision about whether or not you want a reading, I will give updates for those of you who are curious. I'll start with the most urgent, or rather time sensitive thing. So, Sacred Alignment, my yearly Divine Feminine Hoodoo retreat, will be taking place July 17th through 19th in San Diego, California. We have about 2 slots left. So if anybody is still interested in joining us, there are 2 slots left. Thing is, the deadline to sign up is June 16th. So please make sure that you join the link for the intake group below in the description, so that way you can join the intake group, ask questions, learn about pricing, how to sign up and to join us, etc., okay? Pathways to Power, the road opening ritual, the next round of that will be taking place June 22nd through the 25th. If you are interested in joining us for the road opening ritual, click on the link for the intake group for that in the description. That is the road opening ritual that I do in collaboration with Kodan. Kodan will be back here on my channel Wednesday of next week. We're going to do another kind of happy hour, reflecting over celebrities and cultural figures to see which of them would need road opening and how we would support them, right? So if you're interested in that, be here 8 p.m. on Wednesday. But if you want to join Pathways to Power, click the link in the description so that you can join us, okay? Aja's here. Aja's my god baby. Aja has a really strong heart for women. If you've ever spoken with her and you know the Loa that she works with, it makes complete sense. And it's been put on her heart. You guys, if you were here at the beginning of the live, you guys heard me say that I'm dealing with a lot of burnout and compassion fatigue. And it seems like every Black woman I speak to is dealing with the same right now. And so she has put together a 4-week healing journey that she's offering called Return to the Womb. And that's going to start. Sorry, this is my baby, and I always answer when he calls. Give me 1 second. Hey, baby. Morgan? Nudie? Okay, I think he butt dialed me. Because I heard nothing but drums in the background. For those of you who don't know, remember Pooh? Remember my nephew that I would always talk to and scream at in the background? The quiet one? He's in a death metal band. So all I heard was drums and weird noises in the background, so I think he butt dialed me. August 1st, thank you. Sorry about that. So August 1st, Return to the Womb, her feminine healing program will start on August 1st, okay? So if you're interested in learning more about that or joining us, make sure that you click the link to that intake group. I have readings. You guys know every month I give a specialty reading. I'm not going to talk about that for too long because I am a little tired. Again, burnout, compassion fatigue. I need to get to my nap, okay? And I know you guys are probably thinking it's almost 9 o'clock at night. Yes, I'm taking a nap. When you are a priestess, you do the majority of your work in the middle of the night, okay? But I see that a couple of you all sent in a love offering. Nicole says she sent one. Hold on a second. I'm going to start with you. I sent a love offer and am interested and had an interesting dream. I'll book a reading for that. I started a YT channel for a hobby of mine that would like to share, funny enough. Oh, it involves sewing. Okay, share that with me. Because I definitely think that MJ would be interested in knowing more about that. And I will definitely subscribe to your channel and watch it as well. I think it's really dope how many, I think now that I'm back into the habit of it, sewing really is a lot of fun. It's just really fun. It's time consuming. But another thing that I like about it is that it forces me to slow down. I really like that it forces me to slow down and be very deliberate and intentional. I like to believe that I'm intentional, but I do move fast and haphazardly, just like any other millennial. So that is something that sewing has really made me tap back into. Nicole would like both readings. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Nicole. Then we'll do Sanidra, who wants the new moon in Gemini. If there's anyone else here that would like a reading, just go ahead and submit your offering, and then I will get to you after Sanidra. So we're going to start with Nicole. Let's see. We're going to do your new moon in Gemini reading first. And I'm going to use Old Faithful, which is my Clio deck for these readings. Ancestors, angels, ascended master spirits will walk with me, my elevated ancestors. What is the wisdom that the new moon in Gemini has for Nicole? What is this new moon here to teach her about the narratives in her life, the stories she tells herself, and the role that language has on her? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. I'm sorry, even though I think he's butt dialing me again, I got to answer just to be sure. Nudie? Nudie? He did it again. He did it. Yeah. I need him to put his phone on silent. I'm going to have to talk to him about that. When you weren't in practice, put your phone on Do Not Disturb or take it out your pocket, one or the other. You do have some narratives in your life that you need to let go just because of where you are emotionally. And I think that these are stories that you told yourself about yourself that you're finally ready to let go of, right? And they particularly relate to relationships. The cups are about emotions, right? And the Eight of Cups comes up when we have put all we can into a situation or a relationship, and we have to understand that walking away is the win, right? It's a win because it gives us an opportunity to start over, right? So there's an understanding that you need to lay to rest. You already know what it is, and it's something that your spirits have been highlighting for you for a while, right? But because you see this as something that's so close to how you understand yourself, it's been hard for you to release it. But I think that the new moon gives you clarity finally to go ahead and do that. And what you will notice is that once you make peace with and are ready to release this understanding about yourself, it gives you a new sense of momentum, right? A new sense of momentum that allows you to finally prioritize your own personal goals 100%. You prioritize them in a way that's unapologetic and without feeling guilt or as though you're running over other people to get closer to getting your needs met or getting what you want. Okay, so that's what the new moon in Gemini has for you. Now, let's see for this reading with Jupiter in Cancer. Ancestors, what are the roots that need to grow for Nicole while Jupiter is in Cancer? What does Cancer and Jupiter have to teach her about expansion and domesticity at this time? What opens up for her with this 5-month transit? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Oh my God, I'm going to murder him. See, I've never sent him the voicemail, but this is getting ridiculous. So in the first position, which talks about the ancestral gift that is ready to support you, we have a really interesting card. We have the 5 of Cups, right? This is not saying that your ancestral gift is depression. That's not what it's saying. Your ancestral gift is that you have a lot of grace for people who struggle with moving forward, right? I think that there are people that feel safe to be around you, to come to you or to talk to you when things are at their worst, right? And you are probably one of those people, because it happens to me and I've seen it happen to other people who have a strong intuition. You're probably one of those people where you could be sitting at a restaurant completely by yourself, thinking that you are not giving off an open energy at all. And somebody will come invite themselves to your table, and tell you their whole life story, right? Now, it's showing up as a gift. So even though it may feel annoying or burdensome, that is a spiritual gift. And it's not something that's foreign to the women in your bloodline, right? In the position of what emotional wound is asking for healing, we have the 7 of Swords. There is someone in your life who betrayed you or manipulated you. And I think you've been telling yourself, I'm cool, I'm over it, but you're not. You may not hold it as a bitterness towards that person in particular, but it does show up as a suspicion towards other people that remind you of that person or who hold a similar position in your life and in your community as that person, okay? In the position of where can you experience the greatest growth during Jupiter in Cancer? Through travel, which this makes a ton of sense, right? What did I just say? 3 of Wands is a card of travel. It's the card of travel related to Gemini. What do I mean by that? Road trips. What do you do for a living, right? So continuing to focus on the ways in which you literally expanding or exploring through this country opens things up for you. That's what's going to allow you to have your greatest sense of growth while Jupiter is in Cancer, okay? I hope that was helpful. Let me know if it was. Alrighty. Sanidra wanted a new moon in Gemini reading. And if there's anyone else that would like a reading, go ahead and submit your love offering and tell me which reading you want so that I can get to you. If not, we can wrap up with Sanidra. I know this is my first time back in a while, so some of you guys may be either a little shy or honestly, some of the same people aren't here. So we'll see. Ancestors, angels, ascended masters, spirits to walk with me. What does the new moon in Gemini have to teach Sanidra? What wisdom and breakthrough will come to her with the full moon in Gemini happening on Sunday and Monday? Any wisdom shared is deeply appreciated. Good, good. I'm glad to hear that, Nicole. Oh, yeah, and Nicole brought it up, but the dream interpretation readings are the specialty reading that's on sale for the month of June. So if you would like to get a dream interpretation session where you can either I will help you interpret the patterns in your dreams, or if you want to learn about dream interpretation, you can use it as a tutoring session. That will be $85 until July 1st, okay? Now, Sanidra, in a position of what message are you being asked to hear? You need to work on your relationship to hope, right? I think in terms of the false narratives we were talking about earlier with Gemini, you may be one of those "it's too late for me" people, right? And that's not true. I think sometimes we can get so wrapped up in the speed with which a blessing comes that we think it's not coming. And working on your hope and your faith in general is something that's really going to help you. And the new moon in Gemini will reveal to you what that looks like for you, right? In the position of what belief or story are you ready to release, you have to stop hiding. You have to stop playing small. With the moon card being the card of shadows, you are comfortable being in the shadows. You are comfortable helping from behind the scenes, and that's not where you're supposed to be anymore, okay? In the position of the seed that you should plant during this lunar cycle, we have the Two of Pentacles. It's time, and we've talked about this before. There's time that you call in another source of income, right? There's either some sort of passive form of income that you need or a hobby that you need to monetize. And I think that the new moon in Gemini is really going to illuminate that for you so that you can start planting that seed now, okay? All right, everyone, I hope that this was helpful. I don't see anybody else who wants a reading, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for the night. Thank you, Sanidra and Nicole, for trusting me to read for you. I will be back here on Sunday at 7:30 p.m. EST, like I always am, for the weekly energy reading. Make sure you are here and that you join me then. And until Sunday, I want you all to do good, be good, take good care of yourselves. See you in a couple of days. Bye.